and I've got a couple fun things in store. Oops, I gotta adjust my light for a second. There we go. That's much better. I didn't really know what I was gonna do or what I was gonna work on today. So first of all, I just want to say thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. Um, it's a real honor for me that you're here with me. I know there's lots of other things that you could be doing tonight. Um, you know, going out with friends or finishing your dinner or washing the dishes after dinner or watching your favorite television program. So, the fact that you're here with me, I want you to know how much I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I have a couple paintings here, and I didn't quite know what I was going to work on. I have a lot of unfinished paintings. I mean, some of them are years old. Some of them I just started, one of them that I was going to show you, I just started last year and just haven't had sometimes you just have to be in the mood to work on a certain painting. I could have decided to work on the showstopper painting that I did last week, but that's what we're doing in class, and I didn't want to rob my students of that process on that painting. So again, just welcome. I'm just gonna share with you what I've got going here. I am nervous. I'm not used to this. I mean, it'll come to me, but right now I still get butterflies in my stomach when I know that I'm coming on here. It's kind of like almost like having a job interview, sort of, Anyway, so what I'm going to show you, some oldie but goodies, okay? And then I'm going to show you what I want to finish. So it's a painting that I brought up that I have wanted to finish, and it's a real interesting process. And I've done this process of painting before, and I love doing it, so I was going to do another one. But I'm just going to show you some of the works in progress that are still not done that you may see me working on, because you want to see it through. It's like writing a song or writing a poem, writing a book. You get to a certain point, maybe you get blocked, or maybe you just don't have the mojo to get it through. So this I'm just going to show you some of this one is an oldie but goodie, and actually it goes like this. It's an oldie but goodie. It's got some collage on it right here. This has got some collage. It's got collage down here. It's got collage in here to create like a tree bark. This was actually a viola plant that was growing in the tree in my backyard way back when. And there was a big tree in the backyard, and it had a hole, in the bark. So I just took a viola and stuck it in there. I put a little dirt in it and thought, well, maybe if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Well, it did, and it kept growing throughout the whole season. But as you can see, there's a lot that has never been finished. And one of the main reasons is when I moved, I lost my reference photos. So I didn't have anything. I didn't have that reference anymore. And, I need that. So this, pretty soon I'm going to get myself some some more actual really good reference photos, or just buy a viola plant and, you know, work with it as long as I can get the same colors. But this is just one of them. This is just not finished. This one here is something that I started a few years back. I drew it. I mean, I took the pictures a long time ago of my hand in different positions, you know. I bought these hearts at an art fair. I bought like 5 of them, and I've always had them in my studio. And I kind of, this is my idea of an allegorical painting, like telling an emotional story or just telling a story through imagery. And actually, if you know my painting called The Games of Boys and Men on my website, that is an allegorical painting. I had a story and something I wanted to say, and I put it down through imagery, you know, through objects. And yeah, so this is another example of an allegorical painting that I like to do. And I know that I've got a ways to go. The background, I have a tablecloth, a beautiful French jacquard tablecloth, and I put that down, and you know, I'm using that as my backdrop here. So anyway, that's another one that I have to revisit. I worked on this extensively last summer. I got it to this point. I had had it drawn for a long time, and then finally started to paint it last summer, and I put it away. I think I got stuck. I think I just needed a break from it. But anyway, that's another one that needs to be finished. And then this one is another one that's been in the works for a long time. This is a very special lady, a very, very special lady. And this is a portrait. And like, I'm not finished with this here. I'm not finished with this here. There's like these little sections that I have to finish. Her face is almost done. Not quite, but her face is almost done. I have to do a little more work in the mouth area. A little more work in the hair. And I know what she looks like, and I know, you know, you can tell it's her, but I'm a perfectionist, and there's certain things that I know that I need to do to make it a little better. So this piece of music in the back is very special to her. So I put that in the background. It was written by her father. And so there's all kinds of things going on in this portrait, and it's all about her. And there's certain areas in the portrait that I don't know quite yet how to resolve. I drew them in and I painted them in. She is a photographer, and you can't see right here because it's a little bright, but these are all supposed to symbolize the camera lens. Okay, so that's what these, you might be asking, like, what on earth are these, you know, what on earth are these for? Well, she is a photographer, and as you can see, her favorite dog is not finished. I've yet to finish her hand. I've yet to finish the blanket back here. That's still being worked on. The horse is not quite finished, and the dancer is not quite finished. So this one has been a journey of, oh boy, I can't even begin to tell you. I was hoping to get this finished a long time ago. But I made a promise to myself and to her that it was going to be done. It's not a commission. It was just something that I needed to do for, I just needed to do it. And it's because of kindness that was showed, Someone shared their heart, opened their heart, and I just need to see it through and get it done. And that's my goal, is to get this one done pretty quickly. I don't have much left to do on it. So it's almost there. The color in it right from the screen right now on the monitor is not exactly what I see. It is a little different, but this is another one. But today I'm going to share something, and I'm going to work on something. Let me put this down. I'm going to work on something that's totally out of the ordinary. Well, I say totally out of the ordinary. I'm mostly let's go back here. I don't mean to, if there's music playing, I don't hear it. I apologize for that. But I'm mostly a realistic painter. If you were on my live last week, I described to you that, someone referred to me as being an American realist painter because I do paint in realism. I mean, things look like, a coffee cup looks like a coffee cup. People look like people. Eggs look like eggs, that kind of thing. But this one is a little different. This one is what I call an experimental watercolor. And my subject, I'm gonna grab this real quick. My subject is from a trip that I took to New Orleans. And I've always wanted to go there. Finally got there, and while I was there, I mean, you know how they have Carnival there. And there's tons and tons of stores that have things for their Carnival, right? So when I was there, I was absolutely amazed. I would go into the mask shops all over the place, and I found all kinds of beautiful things. Like this one is one of them, right? You tie it on. There's that one, which is lots of fun. And then there is this one. This one is a gal. I couldn't decide which one. I wanted all of them, but you can't have it all. So then there's this one, very elegant, lots of fun. And there is this one. Now, I love this one because he has a bright smile, or not a bright smile, but he has a smile. So he's a little friendlier looking than the rest of them. And that is this guy. He reminds me kind of like the court jester, like the guy that's going to come in and make people laugh. So this guy, he's a lot of fun. I used to have these hanging in my old studio. On the back, on the door, I had like a nice rack, and I had the three of these guys hanging on the back of the door. So when I would go into my studio, I'd shut the door, and I'd get the benefit of the jingle. But then, I just was able to have fun and look at them. But with this painting, what I'm going to do is, I decided that with this one, I am going to use her. I'm going to use this one. So what this painting is, I call this, I do workshops on this technique and classes. It's called Pour It, Paint It, Lift It. Then what I do is on the surface of I put you can do it two ways, okay? Now what this medium is that we put on, I call it my magic medium. And you put it down either on white paper and then do your pour on top of it, or you do your pour and then you put the magic medium down on top of the pour. What the magic medium does is it allows you to easily lift the paint off the paper, okay? So I actually, let's see if I can show you a spot. So what I did on this one, I put the medium down on the white paper and then I taped it off. You can see these straight lines here, right? You can see all these straight lines. What I did was I wanted to cordon this off just for visual interest. So I put the tape down and then I did my pour on top of that. And then when that was dry, I was able to lift the tape, and then you have all these like sections. And with all these sections, I can do really fun, interesting things. Like, I don't know if I can hold this up, but there's an area up at the top on the far right corner up there. That's an area where I took a stencil and then I took a damp baby wipe and I actually put it through the stencil and I was able to lift it off. And that's the lift process, okay? So the background of this is the pour process, where you take paint, not straight from the tube paint. You have to make like a skim milk viscosity with your watercolor paint, and then you just pour it in different spots. You pick up your board and you go like that, and you let the paint move around. You let the colors mix on the board, and then you let it dry. And then after that was done, and after that was dry, I then took my drawing. I transferred my drawing of this mask. You can see it faintly here. All around here. Here's the top of the hat here. These things here. Those are right there. So I did the drawing of the mask, and this is what I'm going to paint using this technique. Now I don't know. I'm not exactly convinced that I'm going to use the exact colors that are on the mask. I know that I want to use black. I want the aspect of that powerful color. But I'm not sure what I want to use as this secondary color. I mean, I love this the way it is, but I also realize myself and my need for I'm a perfectionist. I hate that I am, but I am pretty much a perfectionist. And I know that if I try to make this metallic looking, it's going to add a little stress that I don't want. This I don't mind being, making the illusion of metallic, but I don't want to stress about it with this beautiful damask fabric. So I'm not sure yet what I'm going to use as a color for this part. I know I'm going to keep this black. I don't want this to be garish looking. I don't want it to be like spooky or, sinister at all. So I have yet to decide what other color I'm going to use. I know that you know, with basically with what I've got down here already, it's gonna have to be a nice color. It's gonna have to go, you know. You can't just, I'm not gonna pick like fuchsia pink, you know, and make anything fuchsia pink at all. But I am gonna stick with the black in those certain areas, and I don't use black paint when I paint. I mix my own blacks. I think when you mix your own blacks, you get a much richer, it's just much richer. And, you know, the other colors, like when I mix certain colors together, some of the colors that you're mixing, they show through, and they make this, it just looks much more beautiful and translucent, and a lot more interesting than just a flat black. So that's what I was going to do, was just start putting in some of the darks in here. I'm not going to put in the darks as dark as the black is on here. I'm going to go in kind of gradually. When you're painting in watercolor, you always start with your lights, and then you build, and you layer, at least me, I glaze, and I put layer upon layer upon layer. And what I love about watercolor is that when you do layers of transparent watercolor paint, and maybe I described this last week, if I did, I apologize, but when you put a color down, a transparent color down, and then you put another color on top, it's like having a piece of stained glass. Let's say you have a piece of red stained glass, okay? And you're holding it like that. Well, so let's say my stained glass is my red transparent glaze, okay? I lay that down, so I've got my red stained glass, and then I'm going to add a layer of transparent blue after it dries, obviously. So it would be like me adding a blue sheet of glass on top of that red sheet of glass, and when you look down through it, it mixes into purple. But you still, it's a real fresh way to paint, and it's really a beautiful, gives you a beautiful result. So what I thought I might do just for a couple minutes was mix up a little black. I know the combination I'm going to use. I'm going to use some cadmium red light, and I'm going to use some phthalo blue, and I'm going to mix up some black, and I'm going to use my trusty, I'll show you right here. Let's go to my palette. Let's see if you can see my screen over here where I've got my palette up in the upper left corner of the screen. You'll see my palette. And I'm going to take that. I'm actually, see if I can make that just a little bit bigger for you so you can see it. Here we go. A little bit bigger so you can see it. I'll put it right there. So I'm going to have my trusty porcelain big giant mixing cup here, okay? This here is a mixture I use with the phthalo green, and it's another story, but I'm saving it because I'm still using it, so I don't want to get rid of it. I'm using it for another painting that I'm working on, so I keep it here, and then when I need to use it, I just squirt the water in there, rehydrate the paint, and then it comes back. But for this one, I've got my reference photo up here for the mask, but I also have the mask in front of me. So I have two references that I can use for this. I don't normally have the mask in front of me. I normally have the reference photo, but this is the way I like to paint the best, is to have it in front of me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some phthalo blue, and I'm going to scooch over closer to my palette, and I'm going to mix up some phthalo blue. And I'm not going to use a lot of, I'm not going to make it super dark like I said. I'm just going to put the dark area in, and then we'll go back. Here's my phthalo blue. Get that. And I'm probably going to squirt the cadmium red light in because I don't want to. I can either use, see, here's the deal with the, well, let me just explain this real quick. A lot of people don't realize this. So when you when you have complementary colors and you put them together, they create a neutral. Okay, so on the color wheel, you have red and green. Okay, red is opposite of green on the color wheel. Let's see if I can pull that up. Okay, show you. Okay, so here's the color wheel. I'll use this one. So I'm going to go here to red. Okay, this is my red. And opposite of red is the green. So when you mix the red and the green together, you can create a neutral. And it doesn't matter whether it's a warm red and a warm green or a cool red and a cool green. When you mix them together, you always get a neutral. It can go anywhere from a toned down red to a dark brown to a color that's almost black. In that mixture that I have in my little porcelain bowl already, that's a mixture of a cool red and phthalo green, which that's how I make either a real dark chocolate brown or I make a real rich black. So that's there. And so the reason I'm using blue for another black, so I'm going to go to my true blue here. So my true blue right here, the opposite of blue is orange on the color wheel. So when I mix the blue and the orange together, again, I get a beautiful neutral. It can be a beautiful gray, or, as in my case, another way that I make my blacks. So for this black on this mask, I'm choosing to do the blue mixture. So I'm going to take that phthalo blue and I am going to mix that with a red orange. And let me get my, I could also use orange, but my practice has always been to use a certain color. It's like it's a formula, and I don't want to mess it up, but I'm going to get a different brush because I don't want to dip. I'm going to get a different brush and I'm going to get some of that. It's actually cadmium scarlet that I'm going to mix. So I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to put some of that in there. Put some of that in there. And I'm going to mix some up. So right now, I see right now off the top of my head, let me get my testing paper. I always have testing papers, okay? Because you never, well, I can't say never. I don't even know if you guys can see the drawing. I hope you can. The testing paper, I'm always careful because I don't want to mix a color and then put it down. Now that's pretty red, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to take another brush and I'm going to get it wet, and I'll show you what I mean when I say it's pretty red. It's a reddish, almost like a reddish brown. It's still blackish, but there's a lot of red in there. I know you can't see it on the screen, but I see a lot of brown in it when I'm looking at it. But that's a nice neutral black gray, okay? But I always do it on the testing paper because with watercolor, if you're not using a lifting medium or magic medium like this that I put down, you're not going to get that off because the paint soaks into the pigment. I'm sorry, let me go back. The paint, once you put it down, soaks into the cotton fibers of the paper. Watercolor paper is always made, the best paper, I should say, is always made with 100% cotton rag. There's no wood pulp in it at all. It's always 100% cotton rag. And that's why when I say that when you put that pigment down on that watercolor paper, it soaks up into those cotton fibers. It goes into the paper and you can't take it off. I mean, there are some paints that you can lift almost off, but for the most part, you can't take it off. So I'm going to just put a little more blue in this, and then I'm going to add a little bit more water because I don't want it to go down so dark. So I'm going to just take some, I'm going to squirt that in there, right there, because I just want, like I said, I don't want it to be super dark when I'm putting it down at first. I want it to be dark enough. Let's see what this one is. Oh, now see how much bluer that is? I don't know. I can see it on screen. This one is a warmer neutral. This is a warmer black. This is a cooler black. This one has more blue. This one has more red. And let me just show you a little bit. So that's another thing. I mean, when you want something, wow, now see, that's got too much blue in it. You really see the blue right there. So I think I want to use it with a little more red, a little more orange. I'm just going to put a little bit more in. Yep. I don't want it that blue. Maybe in some areas it would be nice to have a little bit. That's better. That's better. Oh yeah, that's much better. Yep. Alright, so I'm going to start putting down some of that. And how I'm going to do it, I need my glasses. Where's my glasses? Uh-oh. Well, okay. Okay, now I have to see what on this mask, where are my blacks? I know there's black right here, but I'm not going to start there. That's this part right here. I'm not going to start there because I know me. I'll drag my arm right through it and I'll make a mess. So I know I'm not going to do that. So the first center one is the black area right here. So that's what I'm going to look at that. And I'm going to just take my brush. It's got some of that black on it a little bit. You can kind of see the water beating up on this, which might mean that I've got too much of that wonderful masking fluid on it, but we'll see. Not masking fluid, I mean my magic medium. In that case, we'll see what happens. I know some areas have more than others. And so I'm not putting down a lot right now, and I want to make sure that, yeah, that's, so there's an area here and here where there's more of that magic medium than right here. But that's okay because this is an experimental painting. It's not going to be exact. If I really want it to be black, I can always go back. If I want it to be solid, I can always go back and add, I'm going to look at my picture here. I can always go back and add some acrylic inks, watercolor inks, whatever. It's okay. It's not drying exactly how I want it to, but it's okay. right there. I want that to be really dark. But that, I'll go in later with that. Okay. So this is, and the next one is right here. I'm going to go in and add that. And I'm going to add that there. There's a lot of little detail in this. And I'm going to look at that. Okay. Filling that in there. Just going to let it dry. I'm going to put more in here. Put that there. I might go back in to this and add some gouache, which is it's a water media, but it's different than it's a lot different. Now this right here, there are a lot of spots that I have to work around. There's a lot of little polka dots here. I might put down some masking fluid. I think I'm going to have to put some masking fluid down in these. There's too many polka dots to paint around all of those. I'm going to have to do that for sure. There's just too many little circles to work around. I don't like to use, on this process, I don't like to use masking fluid a lot. But, like I said, that one, there's too many polka dots. I'll just do it a little bit and see. Yeah, there's the polka dots here, and then there's the polka dots. I'll show you on this. I'll show you what I mean. Show you what I mean, Jelly Bean. So on the mask here, there's these little gold polka dots right in here. And then on this piece too, there's a lot of those little polka dots. So, actually I love polka dots, so I would never think of taking those out. Never ever. Because I love polka dots. Polka dot shoes, polka dot pajamas, polka dot pants. I love polka dots. I love Lucy and polka dots. I love that. I did a couple I Love Lucy collages. They're on my website. And both of them have polka dots. So yeah, this one, do that. Yeah, this was going to be, this one would, well, it's nice to have a nice watercolor brush where the brush has a nice belly on it so that it holds the paint, but can also come to a fine tip. That's so important, you know, to be able to have that. To be able to come to a fine tip, but also hold enough paint so you can paint quite a long ways because you got a lot of paint in that belly. Brushes are everything. If you don't have a good brush, boy, you're in a heap of trouble. They are everything. Okay, now I see it's coming down to that next part there. And I don't want to... It's a little tedious having you guys watch this. Absolutely. And I'm not getting a nice even wash on it. But I'm not sure with this technique if that's super necessary or not. But this is painting like this, an experimental painting is a lot of fun. It loosens it up, loosens you up. You know, you get stuck in a rut and you know, you just sometimes you need a fun break. You need something different. And since this part of the mask is different, this is the part I'm referring to. This part, even though it's the same fabric, it's a different section. And I don't want the exact same color to be repeated like too much, matchy. So I'm already thinking that when I go down and I do the section over the eye, over here, I'm going to change up the black a little bit. I'm still going to use the same mixture, but I am either going to go bluer or make it warmer with red. Because I don't want this boring same old. It's still going to be black. Don't get me wrong. It's still going to be black. But it's not going to be exact. Because... just because. Just because. That's how I do things. So I've got this mapped out here, which is this piece here. And I've got this piece right behind there. I see I'm supposed to get it right here as well. But I have to look at this photo. The photograph I have a couple of this mask. And the one that I'm looking at that I did from the drawing, I have to see. Well, I guess I don't need to see it. I can see it right here. So I can actually put that in. I can put that in. I'm going to do that real quick. That, I've got that piece coming down like that. Actually, goes like that. Alright, and then this piece is right there. There. Back through there. And then even here. Let me see. Down there, there, there. Okay, I got that in. Now you guys think this is paint by number, don't ya? I bet you do. Not quite. Could be. And then this one, I see this jacquard fabric going like that, and then I see the other black like that. So I'm going to paint that in, because that is the black. So I'm going to paint that. I'm getting the same effect on this white part of the stripe where the tape was. Oh, yep. So I might have to do something there to change that, because it's not taking the color. Not what I wanted. So we'll do something with that. This one does this kind of technique. You don't have to do straight watercolor with this. You can use gouache, like I said, and you can also use the acrylic inks, which I love to work with. They actually act like watercolor. It's almost as if it's a permanent type of watercolor. Yeah, I don't like how that didn't accept the paint. Because that's interesting how that happened. But anyway, we'll deal with it. I'm not worried. I'm not worried. This stuff that I put down, I can lift it off for the most part, because I treated the paper, so I am able to lift it off if I want to. This is tedious for me to do it this way. I am going to have to just spend some time and put some masking fluid down so I have a little bit more freedom to work. So I apologize, because I know it's harder to see the drawing of what I'm doing because it's so bright. Let's see if I lift it up. I don't know if you guys can see the drawing. I know I can see it on my one screen. I can see the drawing. But I don't know how it is on your monitor or your screen. I don't know if it's the same. But I know I'm going to go in now on these areas here, and I'm going to do something with that. And that's probably going to happen on a lot of that area. Now this part all accepted the watercolor perfectly fine. So it might just be the concentration from certain parts from that tape. I'm not sure. But I was able to put watercolor all down here. This is a stamp that I used. I have a polka dot stamp. So I took a roller and I put, I painted it, I took a flat brush and went over the stamp with my flat brush with watercolor on it and then stamped it down. So I did that there, and I did it up in the upper corner here. I don't know if you can see way up there. I did it up there. And then I probably can't see, but I did it down. Nope, can't see it. But I did it down at the bottom. I'll turn it around so you can see. I did it down at the bottom. Down there, where my thumb is, down there. And there's something when you put something down like this, like I've got, you know, certain textures going on here, and stamps. I got stencils going on. You never want to do things. You always want to do it in odd numbers. You never want to do just 2 areas. It's just something about the rule of design where you want odd numbers. So you either put it 3 places, 5 places. You just want to be, you know, and you got to be careful if you only decide to put something in one spot. You have to really be careful where you're going to do it, because if it's an obvious, like a different color or something totally different that is in the painting that you're doing, your eye will go right to that spot. So the idea of putting something down in like in multiples of 3, 5, whatever, that's one of the tools that I use to get the viewer to come in and travel throughout the painting. Okay. I have things that I use called my color visual tools and my value visual tools that I use, and that brings the viewer into the painting and allows them to travel. And you obviously, once you get somebody into your painting, you don't want them to leave. You want them to stay and discover all these like fun little areas. You know, you want them to be able to come in and explore and stay there. You don't want them to leave. Not at all. Okay, so that right in here, there's that fur texture, and then there's that. So right here, that fur texture starts to come in. I can do a little bit there, but I gotta be careful, because now that is accepting it a little better in that spot of white. I did a portrait and using this technique of my daughter Chelsea. She hates it, but I love it because, I mean, people that know her know it's her, but it's not like your typical realistic portrait. It's not at all. It's on my website, and it's called, I think it's called Inside Out. But definitely, I mean, if you know Chelsea, you know it's her, and I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite paintings, maybe because I had so much fun painting it, and I used this process when I did it. So I am going to have to put masking fluid down. This is just too tedious to do it this way. Just way too tedious. Nah, I don't want to bore you guys, and I don't want to bore myself. So actually, I'm just going to kind of take this point right there, and I'm just going to stop. And I'm not going to continue with that spot, because painting those polka dots is going to get obnoxious for you guys to watch. So I just want to you know, again, thank you guys for coming into my studio and watching me. I am doing my, I just have to say this again, I am doing my event still. And it looks like I am not even, don't even have sound. So that makes me nervous. I just saw a thing that said I don't have sound. So where is that? Huh. Am I not? Oh Lord, I hope. Yikes. I thought I had sound. But I have this little thing now that says I'm muted. So I hope to God that you guys did not get a muted thing. Now there's this microphone thing that keeps coming up that says there's no sound. That would be awful. Absolutely awful. Hey, it's too bad you can't do a test run, right? Oh, I have a live recording from this, so let me just go to the next screen. I might just finish this early because I don't know if you guys are getting sound or not, but I do have my make an offer event again. I'll go through that real quick. And the offer number 1 is Hold Me Close. It's an original watercolor, 20 inches wide by 16. And that's where you go on my website, and anything that's marked available, you get to make an offer on it. So that is another one that's available right there. That was another experimental one that I did. And then the other one that I'm going to just show you today is that one. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorites. Santa in the Moonlight. That's another one of my offers. And that's near and dear to my heart. I love that one. So if you go onto my website, you can see that. And let's see. And you go to my website right there, juliaswatercolors.com, and make an offer. And then my Patreon page. You can become a patron of mine. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for coming today. I got all frazzled. So if you are getting sound, that's wonderful. But something tells me you might not be, because there's something muted right there. So anyway, because I'm not hearing anything, and I should be. So please like and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time, okay? If you got sound, great. If you don't, I'm so sorry, okay? But anyway, I'm going to finish up, and you guys, I apologize if you don't have any sound. And I just got all flustered, and this is all a learning curve, guys. And, I had sound earlier before I came on, so I don't know what's happening. So I hope it worked out. Okay, I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks.